Hello, hello. Today I have the absolute honor to introduce you to just one of the sweetest people. But also, what I've learned about her is like she's a total sweetheart, but she's an absolute fighter. She has this kind of quiet fierceness about her because she's someone who just doesn't give up without a fight. And it shows in her journey, in her pain recovery journey. So there's so much good stuff to share about where she's at now. And I want to let her share her story. But it's really interesting because it was only just like a few short months ago, really, that I remember where we sat down, Shannon and I first spoke, and she told me about her knee. And I believe it was the 7 operations that she had on that knee, and I couldn't believe it. And so what started out as a pretty innocent ACL tear that eventually led to surgery after surgery after surgery until eventually they actually replaced her knee. And actually, at one point, she was even diagnosed with CRPS. So Shannon, gosh, it's been like 14, 15 years having to deal with this. As someone who has always been an active person, what has that been like for you?
Super frustrated. And hi, I'm so thankful to be here and I'm so thankful to share my story. And I'm so thankful for the work that you do. I'm just really lucky that I hope that this video gets to the right people. So if you're here and you're listening, you're in the right spot. But yeah, it was crazy. I had a torn ACL. I went in for surgery, but months went by and the pain wasn't going away. And weird things were happening too, where now what I know to be called allodynia, certain fabrics like sheets that were laying on top of my leg, certain pants, which sounds the craziest thing because only certain pants. And I hear that that sounds insane. But like denim, even linen can really just brush up against my knee very innocuously and be unspeakably painful and just drop me for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
In tandem, my quad just kind of turned to mush, and it looked like my skin was sagging where my VMO sits, and that was alarming. And so I, of course, did all of the things that you would do to for your health, and you would go see a neurologist. And I did 2 AMGs. I did more injections. This was 15 years ago, so they were just handing out opioids, and I was like, no, thank you, no judgment to anybody who needs them, by all means. I just didn't want them. I wanted a solution. I wanted to know what was wrong with me. Um, Doctor after doctor after doctor, and then it was surgery after surgery after surgery. Um, but I was going on with my life. I managed to pull 3 degrees out of that because I was sitting all the time. So I thought I may as well. And I was working full time, so I did okay until the knee replacement, and then that is when the pain went from just this annoyance and things I can't do to screaming. Like I had a base level of like maybe a 5 where you can get through it. And then it was just at an 8 to a 10 constantly. I mean, for months and months and months. I went back, of course, the doctors, and they were offering me 2 spinal cord stimulators this last year. And I was like, absolutely not. I've had so many surgeries. You think I want something in my spine? You guys can get lost. So that's when I found you, because I was like, there has to be a way that's not physical therapy, that's not an injection, that's not another surgery, that's not a spinal cord stimulator, that's not the Lyricas, the gabapentins, the Cymbaltas, the opioids, the NSAIDs, you know.
Yeah. And at some point during that whole experience, somebody told you, hey, you have CRPS. What was that kind of like for you? Because I know it was like, kind of like, really? Do I have that? I'm not sure. Tell us a little bit about who diagnosed you and how did they diagnose you and what were your symptoms? Because some people may not know what CRPS is. And
Sure.
then we'll get into the kind of the confusion around it.
Well, and I think you make a really good point about the word confusion. So I got diagnosed on multiple occasions, and back in my day, it was called reflex sympathetic dystrophy, and
Mhm.
now it's been reclassified, I guess, to
Yep.
CRPS. And when I was told that the first time, I said, "Well, I didn't really meet all of the criteria in that I wasn't spasming, my skin wasn't changing colors, so it wasn't like your classic. I wasn't fitting in there. So there was a lot of you have reflex sympathetic dystrophy and like looking away because
Hmm.
I don't want to say it. I don't feel confident. And so I would go to another doctor, and then that doctor would say the same. So that at that point, it was the neurologist first, and then it was an orthopedic doctor. And when I asked them, what is the treatment for this? Oh, there's no treatment. You're going to be in pain forever. And we can give you these, medications, and that's it. Well, I thought I thought that was just a throwaway diagnosis. I did not believe that. And I believed something was wrong with my knee.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that I went off to UCLA to get some better answers. I saw ortho, I got referred to neurology. Neurology said, I don't think it's RSD. I think you have arthrogenic muscle inhibition. And did the treatment for that. It made it worse, which is just cryotherapy on top of PT. It made it worse. So we moved here to Charleston, where medical is largely better. And I'm very grateful that we live in a place where, your doctors do hear you here. And it's really, really great. And he took one look at my knee, the ortho, and he said, whoa, like you have like no cartilage left. You were going to do a partial or a total. And I was like, yes, praise. I want my knee replaced.
Yeah.
But when I had that surgery, I I felt pain, unspeakable, unstoppable pain. I couldn't get from my bedroom to the back door. Um, and I think that's probably normal the first couple of weeks post-operatively from a joint replacement, but that went on for like 6 months and it just wouldn't stop. And so at that point, I started to accept that this is, in fact, my diagnosis. I do have maybe not all the classic symptoms, but I definitely have horrible allodynia. I have horrible pain, unstoppable pain, and I have weakness in my muscles.
Mm-hmm.
It was a long road for me to accept that that was the diagnosis. I feel better about it now. Well, one, I think I feel better about it now because I've hit the end of the road with surgeries. I mean, they've replaced my knee, and yet pain persists.
Mm-hmm.
But on X-ray, everything looks fine. My EMGs, they look fine, they look normal, but I have pain that won't stop. But I've definitely said like this is what this is, and I have to manage that. I have to be responsible for that. I don't need to continuously go to every doctor and tell my story and bring the CD of all of my medical records and all my history and the whole gamut. I do what you taught me to do, and I have such a better life now that I have this thing. It is true, but I also can walk now where I couldn't before. I was in so much pain. It was crazy.
Yeah. I remember you talking about like how you had just checked the box to see certain doctors, but like kept going back and kept searching for something, and
Yeah.
then eventually came to this point where like they don't have it.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And it was not a spinal cord stimulator. I think it's called a ganglion root stimulator. And
Mm-hmm.
my ortho said, "Oh, I'm going to send you to this doctor. He's the best." But I didn't want to because I knew I wasn't going to do it. But I had to check that box, right? I had to do it. And just seeing him triggered so much pain out of nowhere. It's not like I had to climb 3 flights of stairs to get to his office.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because every time I would go to the doctor with these symptoms, even the doctors that do understand, they're kind of invalidating. There's not much that they can do for you. So it's very demoralizing to, I mean, I hear what I'm saying and that it sounds insane that pants hurt me or that I have no muscle or that I have pain with no imaging of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but every time you see a doctor, it brings all that up and you have to go through that. And it really sucks.
Yeah.
It really sucks because they don't hear you. And I think the ones that do hear you are oftentimes selling something, not to say that those things don't help people, but they're selling something that you have to go back every week. It's a cold laser, it's the scrambler, it's the whatever. It's very, very expensive. Insurance doesn't cover it, and you just keep going back and you keep going back. So you're out thousands of dollars, but they're like, don't worry, we're gonna get you better. And
Mm-hmm.
you're like, well, geez, probably not at this point.
They don't actually have anything to offer you that you're actually looking for. I remember you telling me you went to a holistic, I think it was like a holistic pain management person,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
doctor, and we're like, I was expecting to get the strategies. I was expecting to tell like them to tell me what to do. And when they said another spinal cord stimulator, you were like, F this. Like, no.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And all of them make you feel awful.
Yeah.
for having pain. I think they want to help, but they can't,
Hmm.
because they don't have the right tools.
Yeah. They're going to give you what they have. It's not just the treatments that are making people worse. It's that process of the expectation and then the letdown. And like that whole thing is traumatic. That makes pain worse. And how
100%.
that repeatedly keeps hurting you more.
It's so demoralizing, and you just feel defeated. You think that this is going to be your life and it is going to be forever, and that if you can't handle the side effects of like the Lyrica or gabapentin, so you're really left with nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. And you're left alone too, because your pain sounds crazy to everybody,
Mm-hmm.
so it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's just trying
It
to
is.
figure out how to live when nobody gets it, really gets it. Like they can try, they can see that you're hurting, but not fully. But it's clear to me like what kind of led you to step out of the medical system. But what was it that ultimately led you to commit to this program, or more specifically, why work on overactive pain pathways versus any other option out there?
Well, I saw your video on 3 videos on CRPS, and I was like, this person knows more than any other human I have ever come in contact with. And I thought, I don't know what this is about, but you knew that those 3 videos, you described my life story, like in those three, like I was like, that's my life, like that's what I live.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just dove in. Like we talked for, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes or something, and I was like, we're doing this. And thank God that you put those videos on YouTube where you share your depth, and I mean sincere depth of knowledge and understanding of pain. Because that for me, that hit so hard. I'm like, that's my life. And I'm so glad I did. I am so thankful. Like I would try to show it, but when I started this program, at best, I think I was averaging around 6,000 steps a day, which
Mm-hmm.
is for some people a lot. Um, for me, it wasn't even, no, I think it was much less, actually. I think it was much less because at that point I was in such pain. Anyway, it started going up. I am now averaging for the month of December around 10,000 steps a day. I'm like, it's right here. And the pain is so minimal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still have it. But I like, I can do things. Like it's wonderful. So
So, how long did it take to start seeing that kind of change? And what kind of improvements first started happening for you?
Almost instantly. I know that sounds probably crazy and it's probably not the experience all of your patients have, but almost instantly my pain dropped from this really high 8, and I started humming around a 5. And almost instantly, like I think the first lesson hit me so hard because I was afraid of everything. I mean, I can't even explain it. So bringing my anxiety level down brought my pain down because I felt heard by you. I felt safe. I felt like I was with my people. And for me, I mean, it was pretty fast that the pain dropped. And then it took, I would say, like a month and a half, 2 months, where it was this space of my pain would go really high, but then it would stop. Like it would just, like almost like I could control it, which I just found to be so funny because I was like, I've never been able to do this. Like I can make my pain go down, which just seems
Mhm.
crazy. It doesn't involve icing, massage, or a TENS unit or more medicine. God grief, more medicine. Like medicine has dropped significantly.
Yeah.
And then what was really weird is I started to take chances where I was like, well, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to walk to the corner. And I didn't think I could do it. And I was terrified. And I got to the corner and I got back and I sat down on the couch thinking I was going to need ice and a wrap and all of these things. And I didn't, just didn't. I don't know how else to say it. It's crazy.
Hmm.
Um, Now I live a life where I'm not in constant pain, which is amazing. And when the pain started to drop, I would have these days or these moments, or oftentimes it was like a half a day where I wasn't feeling pain, but I could feel my brain looking for that pain, not finding it. And then it felt like if you go on a roller coaster or you get off, if you've been like sailing all day or you've been on a boat all day, your brain's used to this kind of walking in the water, and you get off the boat and you kind of have to tell your legs, like, no, I'm on a flat surface, because your brain still kind of feels like you're doing that. that for me is one of the funnest things I've experienced about this program. And I laugh and I say it's fun because pain is not fun, it's horrid. Um, but it was so fun to stop feeling pain and my brain start like, no, I should be in pain. This is my natural state.
Mhm.
Is I've been in pain for all of these years and it just stopped. It's so weird.
I love it. Like you get off the ride or the boat, or like when you get off a treadmill the first time after it's been going and you're like, whoa, slow down.
Yes, totally. Yes,
You
it's
have
the
to get
exact
used to
same
it.
thing.
I've
Yes,
had
it's
people
wild.
kind of tell me where it's like, I've been checking, am I in pain? Am I in pain? Somebody pinch me. Am I alive? Like, is this real
Yes.
life?
Yes. I had
So,
a moment where the first time that happened, I thought it was really cool. And then it sent me into this like thought process of, oh my goodness, like your pain is ending. Um, and I truly, I just broke down like in tears because I couldn't believe that I had stopped feeling pain and it didn't require me to intervene in any capacity. I didn't have to stay in bed for 3 days. I didn't have to ice it or wrap it or take a Mobic plus two Tylenol, twice a day and rub all the creams on it.
yeah.
It was it was a neat experience. It
Mhm.
was really cool.
Do you feel like you have more time now because you're not doing all of those pain things?
Um, the mental space that I have for
Mhm.
my work, it's so much better. I am not just preoccupied with my pain or missing work because I'm going to another doctor looking for another answer, trying to find a way out of this. When you're not only are you not feeling that pain, but you have space for other things in life that are not associated with pain.
It's more the brain bandwidth that's available. You can actually think and do your job and have a good time doing your job and enjoy it. I remember you telling me like like traveling that you've been doing, going and enjoying the places that you're going to.
Yeah, I love it. I
Mhm.
love it. And it travel really, really scared me. It honestly, once you get past that, the weirdest part is when I'm in a new experience and I'm seeing new things or I'm driving down a new road, I can't be bothered with pain. And it sounds so silly, but it changes that way.
Like it's the fear, it's the being like the worry of like what happens if I get there and I can't stand or I can't sit or I,
Yeah.
am I going to have a flare up and not be able to go where I need to be? Am I going to be able to be on and present? Like it's consuming your brain bandwidth,
Yeah,
you
that's so
know?
true. That's the fear of getting there. Like I think, and that's a big part of this is the fear of doing something. When you have pain, you tend to live in a lot of fear, and everything is scary. So you don't know that the restaurant you're going to isn't going to have a 20-minute wait, and you're like, okay, well, can I stand for 20 minutes? But once you erase that fear and you take that chance, you'll find, I think, pleasantly that you can live a fuller life with less pain.
It's so cool to see that happening. But so, what were some of your goals when you first got started in the program?
I really just wanted less pain. And I think my big, wild, scary goal was to be able to walk my dog, which doesn't seem like something that's hard, but if you are someone in pain, you'll know how hard that is and how scary that is, especially if you have a big dog. Um, and I get to walk my dog now. But that I think was my biggest, craziest goal that I never thought I'd be able to achieve. The rest was I want to live with less pain.
Mhm.
I really just wanted less pain, and it just was the most desperate, smallest goal. And now, like, I can think of so many goals that
Mhm.
are going to happen for me in 2025
Mhm.
because I have the tools to get there. It's crazy. It's crazy.
What, just so people can kind of understand how symptoms have changed, what are some of the things that actually improved besides pain? Because pain definitely improved.
Yeah. I can walk Tucker at any time. One of my favorite things to do is go for a walk. That is never it just wasn't an option before. So yeah, so I get to do that now. I get to walk Tucker. I can do squats now. So that's really exciting. I have mobility now. I couldn't just even run into the grocery store and grab one thing without the cart. I can do a pretty decent grocery shop now, which is really cool. My husband, I really relied on him for so much. But I'm now, the person that's largely responsible for getting groceries and cooking dinner. So that's amazing. We went downtown on Christmas Eve and we walked all throughout downtown. I just get to live now. Like it's improved so much. My anxiety around pain has decreased significantly. And for anyone hearing this that has anxiety, that has pain, knows you have anxiety about pain. And what I mean by that is it's for me for like 15 years, it's always if you take one more step, you're in bed for 3 days. And that's just, and it sounds like a catastrophic thought, but it's so true because it's happened so many times. Those thoughts have really, really gone down. So that's really great. I'm a lot happier person in general. I was just so afraid.
At the end of the program, for anybody who doesn't know, we do like a wrap-up call where we go over data and results, and we were looking at Shannon's like scores on depression, and it was like kind of this, I think we both cried and looked at it and were like, oh my God, like I'm gonna cry now just like thinking about it, because you say that you're a happier person, but you maybe didn't realize just how unhappy you were
Yes.
back then. And looking back at your initial, what you rated depression at initially, and then where you're at now, it's like, wow, that was huge.
You
That
make such a good point because I think of myself as a really upbeat, really positive person. And I didn't realize how blue I was. Um, and then, like, when I saw that score go down, I was like, whoa. And it made me look back at what life was like for me, just, 3, 4 months ago. That was really rough. That was really rough. It was rough when I found you.
Mhm.
And it's gotten so much better. And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. I wish I would have known you 10 years ago, I wish this information would have been available.
And I think things happen when they're meant to happen. I think, maybe if you'd encountered this kind of thing 10 years ago, you would have looked at it and gone, she's wacky. Like, I'm good. Things happen in their own time. But what about, did you notice any issues with fatigue, brain fog, like in that lifting?
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like I was a huge mess because I was always at the doctor or I was always looking for another doctor, compounded with every medication under the sun that I was trying. And I say trying because it doesn't take me long to figure out that I can't take something. Like I know within 48 hours of we're not doing this. But all of that, I mean, it just goes away. You have space after all of that lifts because you don't have to keep looking. That's one aspect, and the other aspect is that your pain does decrease, and it seems so strange. But when pain is lower, you're just more capable mentally of doing the things you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like they're nagging you all day,
Mhm.
bugging you, and then the anxiety and all. Yeah, yeah, all of that's gone, long gone.
Yeah. It was funny when we sat down and I pulled up your chart and you were looking at like brain fog. Forgot about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally did. I didn't even know yeah, that was really fast. Like that went away really, really
Wow,
fast.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So what was it, do you think, that helped the most from what you took away in the program?
The most, I would say, like most pivotal moment that opened a lot of doors for me was that you can have pain without tissue damage. Um, I didn't know that to be true. So I thought there's no way to get out of pain until I repair this tissue damage. So unless I do more physical therapy, unless I do another injection, unless I do another surgery, I'm not going to get better. Um, and that took me. I had to think on that for a while because I was like, "There's no way that's possible. How is that even possible?" But if you even I think you share the definition of what pain is,
Mhm.
and it can be a perceived experience. Folks with phantom limb pain have pain, but there is no tissue damage there. And once that took hold, I was open to the rest of the program pretty quickly because I remember even like running out to the living room. So I was like sitting in the bedroom listening, and I was like, "Babe, can you listen to this?" And I was telling him, and I said, "Do you remember?" Because the first part of my story that a lot of folks don't know is I had no ACL for 10 years. I blew out my ACL when I was like 20, and I had my first operation at 30 when pain came in because I didn't have pain except for the first, 6 weeks or whatever. And then I just went back to life. Um, so I lived that. I had no ACL. I should have had pain for 10 years, but I didn't.
Mhm.
So that was the biggest for me. Every other door was opened after that door.
Mhm. Mhm.
That was
Yeah, it's
huge.
pain is not equal injury, tissue damage, something is inflamed, something is hurt, injured, And but does it mean that it's all in your head too?
No, no. So, and that's another part of this. That sounds crazy to people because if you have diabetes or you have cancer, you're going to have all of these markers that identify your body as being in that state.
Hmm.
So it can be really kind of weird in a sense and awful to not only just be in pain, but to have pain not be reflected in damage. That can be really, really challenging. But also, if you have pain, you have pain. Um, you're not crazy. It's not all in your head. You actually have pain, and that's something I had to learn. And it's shocking to me. It's really shocking to me that all these years, no one has told me or taught me how to manage pain. I'm laughing, but no one's taught me that, and I've kept repeating over and over that I'm in pain.
No one else
you
is like,
know?
"Yeah. Well, you manage pain with pills, of course.
Right?
Like,
Pills,
that's
injection,
it.
rest, ice compression,
I don't
elevation.
know what else you could possibly want, Shannon.
Right, right.
Like, come on. What do
Here's
you
a
mean you
new
want to manage your pain?
Right. Here's a
Yeah.
new a deeper heating pad, a
Yeah.
new massage gun. I have a closet full of all like, cold lasers and all this silliness. That
Yeah.
didn't do anything.
Yeah. 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 That is a huge barrier for a lot of people to move forward into addressing overactive pain pathways is it's but something structurally, mechanically must be wrong. Something has to be wrong. Maybe they're missing something, or I have to get more surgeries and I have to fix this. And there may be physical structural issues going on. In your case, there has to be something going on. Like you don't have 7 surgeries and not have any kind of mechanical issues happening.
100%.
Something is happening. We know your quad too. We talked about that.
Yes.
Um, but at some point, there's no other physical options. It's like, okay, what I can't have another surgery. I mean,
I have to remind myself that I really don't have any more meniscus to rip through. I don't have an ACL to rip through. It's solid titanium in there. So having pain after that is a symptom of pain.
mhm,
It's not that I've ripped through anything else.
mhm,
It's not that I'm bone on bone anymore.
mhm.
So,
A lot of people with CRPS talk about I'm going to amputate my limb.
yes.
And
Oh, yes.
guess what, friends? I hate to break it to you, that's not a way out. The pain can still persist because you can amputate your foot or your hand or whichever, but it's still there in your brain. You still have the foot or the hand or whichever body part it is. It's still in your brain. It's still firing. So in the same sense, in your case, they replaced the knee. All the structural stuff is supposed to be working properly, but those pathways are not. So the knee and the brain, it's still in that old pattern, and so we have to address that. And it's not that you're thinking wrong or that you're just an anxious person, so you're a victim of the fact that you're an anxious person. Like
Right.
you're just gonna have to be in pain forever because that's who you are,
Of
and that's
course.
not true. It's not true. And so we can actually manipulate those pathways and it works.
It really
So,
does. It
yeah.
it really does. It I it's very, very beneficial to learn how to manage your own pain. And I think that's something I needed to hear a long time ago is that you actually can. You can do that. Like you can manage your own situation. There is a better life than what you're currently experiencing out there.
Yeah, exactly. That's well said because realistically, there may not be a cure for what you're experiencing, well, whatever, whoever is listening, what you're experiencing, there
Right.
may not be a cure to where you're never going to have pain again. But that doesn't mean that you won't have pain-free days. That doesn't mean that you won't be able to function better. It doesn't mean that you can't come off your medications,
Yeah,
and or take far less of them and not have to
so
just
true.
be like, that's the only thing I've got. It can be much better than what it is now. And that's if you settle for that, like, well, chronic pain is forever, CRPS is forever, my diagnosis is what I have, this is it, then you're not going to make progress, but you can. Yeah. Um, Okay, if you had the ability to share a piece of knowledge or advice with your former self, what would it be?
Oh, that's so easy. I would say have hope. because there is a way out of this. I would say know that there's a way out of this. Keep clawing, keep digging, keep looking for the answer because it's out there.
Mhm.
Um, Keep fighting and you will find it. Um, and this is where I found it. It was not in a scrambler. It was not in uh, any of the other treatments out there. This is where I found the best medicine. And it's just have hope. You're going to get there. It's not going to be wall to wall pain for the rest of your life. And I totally did not believe that. Like, I guess I thought like, yeah, you're going to find a way. But I thought it would involve thousands and thousands of dollars, X amount of driving to wherever, Mayo Clinic, or whatever it was, you know. And no, I was just like in my hotel room with my first lesson on a work trip. And I was up late that night. I was like, what? What is she talking about? Like, that's crazy. And this smile just came across my face because I don't have to be fearful. Um, that's interesting. What is she talking about? How cool is that? No one ever shared this piece with me. So it was really eye opening. It was really, really cool. But yeah, it would be have hope because it's out there. You're
Yeah.
going to find it.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing. Definitely, it starts with hope, but I'm so grateful that you did give it a try
Me
and
too.
to be able to see you smiling and like happy tears and like all the things. It's been beautiful for me to watch, and I'm so grateful and so honored to be a part of it. And I do hope that those who are listening are resonating with your story and can see that it is possible. And I hope that this inspires folks to at least have hope
Yes, I
again.
hope so too. I really hope so too. I wish this information would have been available um, to me years ago. It's such a wonderful gift that there's tools out there. And thank God for the internet.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for your investment in tech because it made this available to me where if where you are in your hometown right now, like if you were to open a clinic there, I would never have heard anything about it. I would have never known. And I just sat there with my little app every night before bed. It's wonderful. Like it's right here. It's on my phone. And anytime I need it, it's there too, which is really cool because one of the important things is learning about pain. For me, like one of the most beneficial parts was learning about pain, and continuously hearing, like letting that be in my ear. That's very therapeutic.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably talked about this before, but you mentioned gabapentin too. But
Yeah.
the number needed to treat for one person to have a benefit with gabapentin is 6. So you need to give 6 people gabapentin for one person to actually feel a difference,
Wow.
versus just learning about pain is its own treatment. The number needed to treat is 3, which is just
Wow.
wild. Like, I mean, 1 in 3 people just learning about pain. We're not doing anything else. So that alone is therapeutic.
It's
It
it's
is.
the most beneficial thing that I've gotten from this program. It's so beneficial.
And the education piece sets that stage for like, okay, this is what we're doing, this is what's going to happen. And then you get the strategies and that like, okay, like now I'm doing something and this is great. So
Yeah.
you kind of have a little bit of both. Like I know what's happening in my body, I feel safer, and now I get to go do that. I get to go do the thing. So really cool. Anything else that you feel like you want to share that's on your heart that you want people to know about or hear about?
So I wanted folks, if they were like me and they were just going down every rabbit hole, trying to figure out what was wrong with them. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? You might just have pain.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you might have. That's my biggest thing, and to be open minded, and to look for things that can get you better. This is not a snake oil situation. This is real medical treatment, and by far and away, it is the best treatment that I've had. It's the most successful treatment I've had in 15 years. That says a lot because I've seen every doctor there is. I've seen them all. So yeah, I mean, I would say give it a shot and be like, if anyone wants to connect with me, I'd be happy to share more about my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Or if anyone has any questions, please feel free.
So yeah, if you're interested in reaching out to Shannon and want to just connect with her, send me an email and I can send her contact information to you.
Yeah, I would be glad to. I would be glad to. Anything I can do to help anyone else get out of where they are, I would be so happy to.
Mhm. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing and being, like I said, y'all, I told you she was a total sweetheart, but a total fighter. So now you know what I'm talking about. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing this story. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for everything you do. Thank you for this program. Thank you for putting yourself out there and letting me be able to find you. My life is so, so, so much better that I found you. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.